Dean writes, "Greetings AMC, love your show. I have watched it every day for the last year. Keep up the great work." John often says on the show that the character is bigger than the actor, which I agree with completely. So question is, Gal Gadot and Jesse Eisenberg's performances in Batman vs. Superman. If they are both universally hated by critics and audiences alike, will Warner Brothers do the smart/right thing and recast the roles no matter how beloved/successful the movie overall is?
Well, let's address a couple of interesting dynamics here about the question. Okay, first of all, there is this war going on between people who think that Gal Gadot or Gadot, depending on how you like to say it, is going to be absolutely horrible, and those who think she'll be just fine. And I am actually on neither side. I have been very outspoken that it was the wrong decision to cast her, and I stand by that. Let me give you a little hockey analogy here. For those of you who go back into hockey, your team is in overtime. It's a shootout in hockey, and you can either have Wayne Gretzky go out and take the penalty shot for you, or for those who know your hockey history, you can send out Dave Cementhead Semenko, who I loved Cementhead, by the way. I thought he was great. But he was a big enforcer who would go out onto the ice to beat the living hell out of people who touched Wayne Gretzky. That's what Dave Semenko's role was. So you're a coach, penalty shoot off. Am I going to send out Wayne Gretzky or Dave Semenko? The right choice is to send out Wayne Gretzky. And I think the right choice with Wonder Woman, I've been on record about this, is about 5,000 other actresses other than Gal. But that being said, let's not forget that just because Dave Semenko's still a professional hockey player, he might score. It might work. Let's not say because they made the wrong choice and sent out the wrong guy, that by default means it's not going to work. That's not true at all. This might work. And having Gadot, I've been saying this for a long time now. Let's not go in with the assumption that, hey, look, do I believe it was the wrong choice? Yep. But that does not mean we make the assumption that it will not work. There are still a lot of possibilities here that could put her in the hands of Zack Snyder. If Zack Snyder knows how to use her, like James Gunn knew how to use Dave Bautista, you get a situation like that, this can still work, even though I feel it could have worked better if they had gotten another actor to start with. Irrelevant. This might work. Jesse Eisenberg, I've never understood the universal hate about that. I've never thought Jesse Eisenberg was a great actor, but I never thought he's turned in a bad performance either. I think he was a perfectly acceptable casting choice. But in asking the question, if they're horrible to the point that every critic, every audience person hates them, will they change them? Well, yeah, but you can say the same with Christian Bale in Batman Begins. If he was horrible and everybody hated him, and the critics hated him, the fans hated him, they all rejected him, you're damn right they would have changed it. So it's unfair to just ask that question of just Gal Gadot or Jesse Eisenberg. It's true. Would it be true of any actor that you put in any of these comic book films? Anyway, Christian, how do you see this?
So you're saying Gal Gadot is a goon?
Goon 2, starring Gal Gadot.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think, look, the only reason I don't think that they would replace them is if the movie did well, is because the contracts that they locked down with them right off the bat, they'll probably try to work with them for a sequel. If they're horrible after the sequel and it still does money, then maybe they replace it. But that doesn't happen often. A lot of times when they replace the actors, it's because they didn't get into a contract, and right away the one I think of is Terrence Howard. And Iron Man. Right. So, and he wanted more money. So, like, no, we don't need you. We'll get somebody else. That happens. If that's the case, and she starts, wanting more money because the movie, another story. But I don't think, because they believe in their casting. Doesn't matter what we say, and they probably want to stick it to us more and say, no, she'll deliver. So.
Yeah, I mean, the audience decides in the end run. I mean, it doesn't matter if a studio's like, we believe in this person 100%, and everything. They made this movie. Look at Green Lantern is a perfect example.
But they didn't make that much money, though.
No, I'm saying how much they spent on it, like $400 or $500 million all in with all the advertising. It was on buses and buildings everywhere. I mean, you also can go back and look at Val Kilmer, George Clooney, these guys who just did one movie as Batman, and then they got another Batman, and then they got another Batman. So it happens all the time.
But they always kept the same Alfred. I like that. I like that a lot.
I know that was kind of cool. With those 4 movies, it was the same offer.
What's a lot different though back then, though, too.
They didn't have this weird shared universe. So here lies the rub. Is like now that you're locking everybody in, it gets a little weird when Terrence Howard all of a sudden just becomes someone else, you know?
But we got over it pretty quick.
We got over the Hulk,
but it was so early.
Someone else.
Terrence Howard was also very early. That was the first one.
Yeah, the Hulk and Iron Man were the first movies.
But this would be the first Wonder Woman appearance, right?
It would,
be early.
But it would be the 3rd film in the shared universe. Or 4th film in the shared universe.
Yeah, but our first exposure to this one character.
Well, yeah, you're saying directly after Batman vs Superman.
Yeah, like if the audience, I think the question is asking if the audience, if Batman vs Superman comes out, and the audience, which once again I believe is unfair, but if the audience universally hates Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, I gotta believe Kevin Tsujihara is gonna go, you know, we're putting too much money into this whole thing to risk this. We gotta make a change.
I can't imagine that though, because especially when they're announcing the Wonder Woman director and they're doing all the prep work too. Even if she doesn't deliver at that point, they're gonna be in production.
They would have replaced her by now.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what
I
would have
agree
happened.
with you.
Like they're filming and they're like, look, we decided to go with Gal Gadot. We just shot for her for 2 months. It's horrible. They would have replaced it. So I think she's doing exactly why they ended up casting her in the first place. They have a spin.
You never know.
I don't
until you put it on the big screen.
Yeah,
Shailene Woodley is an example. Mary Jane. Because what happened there? We still don't know. I mean, we don't know it was bad. We don't know what happened there. They say one thing, and so who knows?
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting drama to watch unfold.
I mean, Luthor is the easier one because they could just like, if it doesn't work out and the audience hates him, they could just kill him in the next movie really quick. Superman could just snap his neck.
I don't think you kill Lex Luthor.
No, I'm joking.
You keep that dude around.
Yeah. Hey everyone, if you like this video, click that thumbs up button and make sure to subscribe to our AMC Movie News YouTube channel. It's free and helps you stay up to date with all the latest movie news, as well as our daily AMC movie talk show. Also, make sure that you follow us on Facebook and Twitter to stay up to date with all of our special promotions, contests, and prize giveaways.